How important is community to our spiritual growth? Well, Dagdi Vogus Fulcha. Hi, hello, and welcome. This is Jon O'Sullivan from Irish Pagan School. And yeah, neat answer, not hard to say. Community is actually pretty fucking important. It's pretty important to be able to explore and express our own kind of spirituality in a safe and accepting kind of space. And that's not always easily found. Um, there is a lot of people who come to us through like our mailing list and through these videos and all the rest of it. And time and again, we are delighted and honored by their expression of comfort and acceptance within our community. Or the word that we use is tua, which is the ancient Irish word for tribe. And so we work really hard to make sure that our tua, our tribe, is the right kind of place to be able to feel safe, feel seen, be inclusive, and to acknowledge everyone's kind of spiritual path in their own way. And whilst kind of keeping it on topic, and this is where it does get a little bit conflicted at times, because our focus and our kind of work is about Irish paganism and Irish spirituality. And so there are many other places all over the internet which, are about generic spirituality or generic kind of paganism or, non-generic paganism or like, cross comparative paganism. And so we're not in those other spaces telling people that they have to follow our way. So in the same way, we curate our community spaces to make sure that people stay on topic and stay on point. But the importance of that acknowledgement of that connection has really been highlighted for us in the last couple of years. We are now many years into and probably through, I guess, a global pandemic, and it's not gone away. It still has its impact around the world still, but we are now managing things differently, I guess. But what happened at the start of lockdown was a, a very kind of scared people. Like everyone all over the world was very frightened. And so my partner, myself, Laura, and I kind of talked about like, well, how can we support people in this time? As an educational body, but also as practicing pagans and like people who work for community service in that way. How can we support people? And we actually put that to our main list and we asked them the question, like, well, what would work? How can we do? What can we do? We don't really know. And the response we got was, we just want time. We just want to be able to connect, to be able to be around people. And so that's where we started our very first social session. And for the full month, every day we went live at 5 o'clock. And so at 5 p.m. Irish time, it was a 2 hour window where we had an open Zoom and anyone on our mailing list could click on the link and just be around other people, be around other pagan inclined, Irish pagan specific spiritual people to talk about various topics. It wasn't always just spiritual topics either. Like, we talked about ourselves as people, ourselves as our communities, the challenges we're facing. And, sometimes it got pretty deep and it got pretty emotional. And so we had to kind of manage and curate that there because no one in that group was there to diagnose anyone else's dreams for them, to kind of be put on the spot for a live Q&A session or anything like that at all. So eventually we had to involve some structure, which then involved volunteers from the community stepping in to help with that. And we did that, myself and Laura, for a full month. For 2 hours every single day we were there. And at the end of that commitment, we were saying, okay, well, this is coming to the end of our commitment, but people had really engaged and connected. So we went and did an extra month. And so for 2 months, we went live at 5 for 2 hours every single day. Now, that was a lot of effort. There was a lot of energy whilst running our business, whilst trying to be secure in our home and look after our family as well. It was a lot. But we gave it as a connection and as a commitment to our community. And so over time, it became a cornerstone for many people. It became part of their kind of regular interactions, part of their weekly program where they would step in, they would connect, even if they never spoke. They would put it up on the computer, they would see other faces and other voices, they would have other people talking about spiritually inclined information, Irish pagan specific stuff, Irish mythology, Irish culture stuff, nerd culture stuff, whatever it was, it was being around each other as a community. And so we then had to look at how sustainable that was, and so we ended up moving it to Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, and we had volunteers come on and give their time to kind of help host the sessions, so that we weren't getting people burnt out by it. But unfortunately, people did get burnt out by it. And, if other people couldn't make a session, I was the presenter of last resort. And so I did have to cover a lot of sessions, making sure I was there to help, making sure I was turning up for that community and to kind of steer and guide the communication and the acceptance. And it was a lot, folks. It was a lot. We ended up running it for 2 years in that format. And it didn't end very well. And I will accept responsibility for that because I reached the end of my ability to manage that, and we had to pull the plug. And I probably could have communicated it better. There's a number of people who were very upset and very hurt by the shift and change in that, and I accept I didn't handle it very well. The communication didn't wasn't presented as it really should have been, and I accept and I've taken on board that lesson for myself going forward, and I won't forget it. That's part of being a bard. We remember the stories, sure, but we don't forget the stories, even when those stories are upsetting and painful for ourselves. Um, and so we had to kind of stop. But we didn't stop it forever and kind of cast it all away. We found some way to try and still make space for community whilst trying to make it more sustainable. Like lockdown had come to an end at that particular point with the pandemic, and I was like, okay, well, we need to pivot, we need to kind of change, and that was part of the driving motivations for ourselves. But we then decided to commit to it every month. So on the second Saturday of every month, we do still go live for 2 hours from 5 o'clock Irish time. And so people on our mailing list receive an invitation to our second Saturday session. So it's the second Saturday of every month. And, you know, it's still, we have people turning up. We have people turning up all of the time. Every month they have it in their calendar. That's part of their routine. That's part of their kind of commitment to their own spiritual growth by being around other people who are spiritually inclined. And one thing I am very honored by is, and surprised and also a little bit disheartened by, is the fact that so many times we get an email or a message, or people kind of come on and they say, listen, I've been turning up for these sessions and this is my first time being able to speak about it, but I don't have anyone near me. I don't have anyone in my family. I don't have any community around me who kind of expresses their spirituality in the same way as me, and I feel lost and I feel disconnected. So they are grateful to us for being able to kind of have some place where they know other people are going to be talking about spirituality. Other people are going to be talking about their experiences, talking about their culture, talking about, like, ancient Irish practices, modern Irish practices, or actually just being around each other, sharing kind of music ideas, checking in with each other for how's it going with you, how's your life, what are the challenges, and seeing other people expressing similar views and similar kind of expressions of their spirituality, like, talking about their same kind of challenges that they have with, say, offerings, altar space, energy management, time management, making space for their own kind of spirituality and their own growth, makes it more normal, makes it more accessible and acceptable for each of us. So community is very important to spiritual growth because it helps us feel connected and also seen and accepted, which means when stuff is a little bit off or stuff is a little bit kind of confusing or challenging, we know we're not alone in it. We know we're not like the only person who's experienced, some form of spiritual growth or some form of spiritual struggle. And we still have people out there who are kind of going through similar things or who have gone through similar things and are able to provide some guidance and some kind of direction, um, to hopefully help them do it right, as opposed to struggle and stumble along the way some of us have had to. So community is very important. It's important to make sure that we're doing the commitment to our solo practice, engaging with our own offerings, our own kind of rituals, our own kind of connection with our deities, but being able to come to a community space, being able to come to a place where there is that connection with others, is very, very healthy, and it is, to our mindset here at the Irish Pagan School, core to what we do. So thank you very much for joining us for this chat, and for all of you who are part of our tuath, who are part of our tribe, Gurav Mila Mahagas, thank you very, very much. it's great. When we started this 7 years ago now or more, we never thought we would actually grow to this and grow sustainably to this, whilst maintaining like the right kind of ethics around our purpose, the right kind of, structure and guidelines and safety and security, but also acceptance and recognition and inclusivity. It's it's fantastic. I'm moved every time I think about it and I talk about it. So very, very grateful to everyone who is part of our community, and turns up for all of those engagements, or even any of those engagements. There was someone who actually turned up to one of our sessions there recently who hadn't been to a session in over a year, but they got the email and they're like, "This is still going, and I want to turn up." And I was very much moved by that as well. So, as ever, thank you very much. Really appreciate you being here. If you would like to know more about Irish Pagan content, you can go to irishpagan.school/free. We have a year's worth of free resources available there. You can just go to the Irish Pagan School and pick up a class if you're looking for specific teaching on gods, guardians, sacred sites, seasons and sacred cycles, like spirituality, the other crowd, the good neighbors, the fairy folk. There's a lot of kind of great content there as well. So thank you very much for being with us. And until next time, look after yourself. Agus Slán. Goodbye.